Welcome, everyone, to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. And tonight, we're going to talk about what's the worst thing when traveling. Being bored in your layover. Well, the Houston airport has an answer to that in the way of gaming lounge. So they now have a gaming lounge at the Houston airport called Gameway. So when you have those layovers or you just need to kill a few minutes, you can now go on over to Gameway and play some video games. So Gameway has been dubbed the ultimate gaming experience for travelers. The airport launched a premium video game lounge inside the international terminal, and it's called Gameway. You can chill in the lounge and plug into 15 different gaming stations. They call it luxury top of the line gaming stations, but what does that really mean? So what does that mean? Well, they have 6 Xbox gaming stations, 5 PlayStations, and 4 gaming PCs, all with the newest games loaded on each of them. And basically, you'll get to relax in the Razer's Iscar gaming chair, along with a Kraken headset and fast, high-speed internet at every one of the terminals. So kind of an interesting concept, a lounge that's catering to gamers. Some of the pictures I saw basically have the lounge designed in what you would consider, and what I would almost consider an esports type thing, with like lots of neon lighting and cool little circuitry designs on the wall and things like that. You can, with lots of big gaming monitors, big screens, things like that. It just it kind of reminds me of the old, like we used to have something in Springfield called Power Games back in the day, where you can give them like your money and you can play games all day, but that was only PCs. So kind of reminds me of those little PC cafes, gaming cafes. But now this one has all kinds of different things to play, more than just a PC. And like I said, this is at the Houston Williams P. Hobby Airport. So first airport in this country to offer a gaming experience like that, they claim. So if you got that long layover, or maybe it's only a short layover that might become a longer layover if you miss your flight, you could check out the gaming lounge when you're there. It's an interesting concept. I didn't know this was there. I guess it's been there for a little while, because they're also expanding into LAX and some Charlotte Douglas International Terminal. So, yeah, I didn't know that anything like this existed. So it sounds really cool. I don't think I've ever flown through Houston's airport, so I would have never seen this. I've flown through a lot of airports in my day, especially working for a company that required travel for a few years. Nick, what do you think about this gaming at your layover?
Well, I also traveled for work, and I don't anymore, but I used to, and I wish this was around at that time, because there were times where I had 2 or 3 hour layovers, and there really isn't much to do except for hang around your gate, maybe eat some food, and wait around for 2 to 3 hours to go by, sitting on your phone or something. So it would have been awesome to have a gaming lounge to go into and play a game. Probably would have missed my flight because I would have been too into the game and been like, oh crap. But this is cool. I mean, it gives people something else to do, right? There's, like I said, there's airports do have shops and stuff, but I'm not big, it's usually like a lot of clothing shops and jewelry shops and stuff, and like knickknacks, and everything in the airport is like 20 times more expensive. So it's nice to be able to do something free. As far as I know, it's free, right? I mean, they do have, it shows like pictures. They do have like candy and snacks in there. So they are going to entice you to buy that $20 box of Good and Plenty. But, it's still it's a pretty cool concept. I wonder if it gets pretty filled up. I mean, that's not a lot of stations, but I mean, people are coming and going, right? You don't have time to sit there for hours on end playing on, I mean, most of the time, depending on your layover. I know that, if I'm going to travel, I'll definitely try to, hope that one of the places that I go through, if I have a long layover, has something like this, because that would be pretty awesome. Just make sure you keep track of the time. That's all. The only thing I think about is like how often these stations get cleaned. Hopefully often. It'd be kind of gross to hold a controller or a keyboard and mouse with people that have been touching it all day long. Or if they have like little wipes that you can like wipe things down on your own, you know, or like the Kraken headset, like sitting that on your head, and like, God, don't put that on my head. You know, it seems to be brought to you by Razer because they have Razer headsets and Razer chairs, probably Razer keyboards and Razer mice. So it's the gaming lounge at the airport brought to you by Razer. But yeah, it's cool. I dig it.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not free. It's like $15.99 for 30 minutes, $25.99 for an hour, or you can spend $40 and play unlimited. And on their site, they do offer 10% military discounts. So if you're in the military, you get a discount. And it does say that they are meticulous about cleaning and disinfecting. And I would imagine in the post-COVID era, you know, you are going to be disinfecting that thing after every use. I would almost imagine, because you can't put this on the gym method, you know, where people are supposed to wipe down their own equipment, because we know how well that works. If you've ever been in a public gym, you're supposed to wipe down the equipment after every use, and you're lucky if the person gets a little squirt on the rag and does a single wipe. If you're lucky, you know, most of the time they don't even touch it; they just walk away. So, you know, it's going to have a fee associated with it. And like I said, they're branching off, because that opened up this year, sometime this year. So Houston has one. They're going into LAX with another one. Actually, I think they're doing two at LAX. And then the Charlotte Douglas International Airport's getting one. And the Dallas Fort Worth there is getting one. They're getting two. So, you know, this thing seems to be pretty popular. And I can only imagine so. Because when if I've had a long layover before, I find myself just sitting on my phone trying to find something meticulous to do, or finding if I had enough points with my airline, going to the airline lounge and getting a drink or something, or paying an exorbitant amount of money to get a drink in one of the airport restaurants, which I really try to avoid when I'm flying, because it's just too expensive. So, you know, I would definitely partake in this if I could find an airport, or still traveling, because I did travel through LAX a couple of times, and Dallas. I traveled through Dallas Fort Worth a lot more. So this one, you know, is going to be that one would be more inclined that I would get to go to if I flew through Dallas, because I had plenty of Dallas layovers, because I like to travel with United, and I think they travel a lot through Dallas over the years. So not really Houston as much, but I would definitely check it out if I had a chance, especially if I had like a couple hour layover. I'd be like, well, $26 and I get to sit in there for an hour and play a game. I'm going to do that. It looks like everyone's set up a little bit different. It looks like the Dallas Fort Worth one's going to have nice, comfy looking recliners, whereas the rest of them have like have the gaming chairs. I should say, not weird, but the gaming chairs, you know? So, I'm game, but I'm a gamer. I wonder how lucrative this business is going to be. How many gamers are flying through the airport on the regular? Might be more than I know.
Well, I mean, especially like parents with kids, this is a good opportunity to keep their kids occupied if they have a long layover, right? Pay for a couple hours or whatever, or an hour or so, and just let their kid play like Minecraft or some game on PC or something like that. It'll keep them occupied, and, you know, buy them some candy at the kiosk there and sit them down in front of the computer, the Xbox or PlayStation, and be like, here you go, you got an hour. You know, stay out of my hair. Because I mean, I you know, when I traveled by myself. I could just imagine little kids, or even my kids, traveling through an airport and having to sit in a long layover. That would be insane. My son maybe be able to handle it, but my daughter would probably lose her mind waiting. Or they might both lose their mind. I don't know. But if I could, depending on the amount of layover, like if there was a room like that in one of the airports, yeah, I'd probably pay to have like an hour of them be like, here, go in there and play some video games while we wait for the plane. So yeah, I could see them being popular. I'm really surprised it took this long for something like that to happen. And just about everything else is in the airport. Why not? Right? I mean, you name it, it's in the airport, right? I mean, just about. So they have, I mean, some of those bigger airports have like, I mean, they have jewelry stores in them, right? Right? I mean, they have
the international ones do.
Yeah. They have all sorts of crap. It's like a mall. It's basically a mall with a airport attached to it. And there's just like, the Nike shop and the Adidas shop and popcorn stand shop and the candy shop and the jewelry shop and Macy's and JC Penney's and everything's in there. A Best Buy. I think there was one that had a little small Best Buy in it that I went to. So, yeah.
Huh. Yep. I mean, it's an interesting concept. I mean, like I said, I have worked and ran LAN gaming centers when I was younger, and they just never took off. I mean, you would get a good something like this, though. I could see being a little filter in, filter out thing. But I mean, I don't know about Nick. Do you remember Power Games that was in Springfield? When you were younger.
No, but I remember places. Metagames used to do that back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember doing that. Metagames to Counter-Strike and stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, that stuff doesn't last anymore. But I could see airports having a unique, because you're for all intents and purposes, you are stuck behind those gates unless you want to do TSA check again and all that stuff. So really, there's no leaving the airport. So this is like a really interesting entertainment option while you're stuck in the airport for your layover. Because I would not want to go through the whole process of check-in again if I wanted to leave the airport to go do something. So I very rarely did it unless I had a friend that was going to come visit me while I was laying over for a couple hours. Usually I wouldn't do that unless I was laying over for 3+ hours, and I would then leave and go hang out with them for an hour and then go through the whole, check back in or go through your TSA pre-check or whatever again, process. So you're kind of sequestered in there, and it's a good little, because getting into the lounges is not always easy, because sometimes you have to be a status member to go into their lounges. And when I first started flying, I was not a status member of any airline. So it's like, well, I'm not going to be able to go into their lounge, or I have to pay like stupid amount of money, like $50 to hang out in the lounge, which I'm not going to do. And I'm not going to sit there and pay $20 a drink to hang out at some airport, bar. So it's just not, it's an option, and it's not a bad price. I honestly say, $25 for an hour, $26 if you look at it that way, it's not a bad price. And even like $15-16 for 30 minutes, it's not a really bad price for entertainment value, when you consider that if you're going to spend the same thing in a airport bar, you're going to spend probably $50 or $60 for a couple, 2 to 3 drinks. So for an hour's worth of time, just waiting on something. So I can get behind this, and I hope it takes off, and I hope it does well. And hopefully the next time I travel, I'll get to partake in one. Might have to do an extended layover on purpose, which is not something I would ever think about doing.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I hope it takes off too. I mean, I hope it, continues to take off, I should say. Because I would definitely do that. And if for airport prices, no, that is not bad price. I mean, you got to know it's going to be a little bit higher than like your local places and stuff like that would be cheaper for something like this. But for an airport, you're going to expect that types of prices. I mean, a package of gum in the airport's like $10. So you might as well. I remember I bought, I was, traveling for work, and I went through one of those little convenience stores that have like the drinks and the candy and stuff. I bought like some candy and like I like a thing of gum and a drink, and it was like $15 for gum and a drink. That's all I bought, and I was like, oh my god. It's like, it was super expensive, but I mean, that's just, the company paid for it. I didn't, but it's regardless, it's expensive in the airport. So again, I've had plenty of layovers while traveling where I was doing nothing, like you said, exactly, just going to have a few drinks in the whatever, or just sitting there on your phone for hours on end. So to have something that give you some sort of entertainment while you're there, I'm all for it.
Cool. Well, sounds like it's a good business venture, and I wish them luck, and hopefully it continues to expand and they continue to grow their business and get to see them in more airports, more layover destinations, I should say, than anything. The hub airports, which it seems like what they're doing, Dallas, LAX, Houston, they're going to the hub, and especially Charlotte. I've flown through Charlotte many a times for layovers as well. So depending on if I had to go to Delta or something like that, Delta or United or American. I think American always went through Charlotte, and Delta probably went through Houston, I think, all the time.
I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago Airport.
Yep,
O'Hare, flew through O'Hare tons of times in layovers and stuff like that. So I could see O'Hare being probably hopefully next on their venture.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. That's a big hub, and lots of central travels go through there. So cool. Anything else on this one, Nick, before we have to put down the controller and rush to our gate before we miss our flight?
Nope.
All right. Well, let us know what you think. Do you travel often? Have you gotten to go to one of these? It's only been open for a couple of months, it looks like, in the Houston one. September, I think, is what I saw, or something like that. So let us know. Have you gotten to see one of these? Have you gotten to go to one of these? I've not seen a modern one of these that does very well in a long time. So hopefully they're staying busy. But let us know. Have you gone? Will you do one of these if you have a layover? Are you that big of a gamer? Will you game in the airport? Or maybe, like Nick said, you're going to use it to keep your kids entertained, so they're not running up and down the airport like a bunch of heathens, because they're sequestered into a chair for 3 or 4 hours while they're flying or waiting to fly. So let us know what you think down in the comments. And like as always, if you're not subscribed to this channel, why not? You made it to the end, so help us out by subscribing. And then don't forget to hit the button for like this video if you haven't. And don't forget to hit the bell for notifications so you stay up to date when we post new videos. And we hope you enjoyed this episode and hope to catch you in the next one.